Okay, we are going to talk about the Toyota Production System, aka TPS. So the Toyota Production System really centers around continuous improvement. So that is, build an organizational culture and value system that stresses improvement of all processes, and that is called Kaizen. Now, if any of you truly speak Japanese, I will apologize if I've mispronounced any of these words, because I learned all of these words when I was dealing with people that taught Six Sigma kind of stuff. So, once again, I do apologize. Linguistics is not my thing. And so that is kind of the nickel definition of Kaizen. It really is a concept that refers to business activities that are all continuously improving all functions of business from all employees. And that's all of employees, from the CEO down to the assembly line workers. And actually, Kaizen is that Japanese word for improvement. And it's part of everybody's job. And so also part of the whole Toyota production system is this idea of people are treated as knowledge workers, so they have a lot of respect for what they know. You engage in mental and physical capabilities, and you empower employees. And this is one thing that, once again, especially in a manufacturing environment, some people tend to not treat the line workers as they know anything. I used to have this problem in engineering all the time as I worked with people, as a lot of the engineers would not take any of the knowledge of the people working on the floor. And I'd always try to explain to younger engineers that you don't realize that they know more than you. Yeah, you've got the degree, you know how to do the stress, the strain, the design, but they're putting it together. They know a lot about what's going on. And some of your better products, your better processes are going to come from them because they're doing it all the time. And that's pretty important, not just in engineering, but anybody that's looking at anything in operations. When you've got somebody that's doing something 8 hours a day, 40 days a week, they're really going to spot how things are going to be easier for them because they're in the weeds, they're doing it. And that's one of the brilliant things that Toyota really pushed, was using that knowledge base. And it's just good. It's good company business by doing that. So what else does Toyota do? They have processes and standard work practices. They're all unified. Work shall be completed, specified to as, all your work is set up by content, sequence, timing, and outcome. Internal and external customer supplier connections are direct. So usually the people that are dealing exactly with that are in part of the conversation talking to the suppliers. Material and service flows must be simple and directly linked to the people or machines involved, and so that things move right from where they should be to where they're going, and the people actually doing it usually end up interacting with each other as they move it. And so process improvements must be made in accordance with the scientific method at the lowest possible level of organization. So what does that mean? It means the dude or the girl on the floor sees something and they're like, okay, I think this is my hypothesis. They sit there and they look at it, they figure it out, and things get put into place. So the processes and standard work practice, they will stop production because of a defect, and that is a jidoka. And that's the principle, stopping work immediately when a problem occurs, and everybody focuses on the problem and fixes it. And so there's a dual focus on the processes and standard work. It's the educating and training of the employees, but it also gives you responsiveness to system problems. Responsiveness of the system to problems. And this really results in a continuous improvement. Once again, any of this lean, just-in-time Toyota production system, as I said before, always comes back to continuous improvement. Nothing is ever perfect. It's always good, hopefully getting better. And so outside of just that's the Toyota production system, but lean organizations, how do you create a lean organization? How do you function one? Well, a lean organization understands the customer and the customer's expectations. And this, you can pull any number of examples, even from my own work. Mostly did military stuff. We kind of understood better what the customer wanted than sometimes the customer did themselves. They would come in with a bunch of specifications. We'd sit there, look at them, and come back and go, so, you say you want this, but this is what you want, right? And it's like, oh yeah, that is, because we knew what we understood the customer, and we knew what the end user ended up wanting out of things, and it made our business better. Functional areas communicate and collaborate to make sure the customer expectations are met. This kind of goes back to what I was saying about talking to those people on the floor, because they know how things go together. They know things, but if you communicate with the people putting it together, the people manufacturing it, all aspects within that organization, if you're all talking and you're all improving things and everybody understands the customer, you can manufacture a better product for the customer. And also implementing those tools of lean. And so, we're talking the 5 wastes, we're talking about all that stuff, and we want it throughout the entire organization so it permeates the organization. So how can we use this stuff and actually put it into our organization? So if we look at transitioning to a lean system can be difficult. And as I mentioned, I did some work with the people that teach Six Sigma and stuff. And one of their big things is it's not just employee buy-in, it's also management buy-in. So you need to get everybody to buy into it. And that's, from what they were told me, that's one of the more difficult things that they deal with. If they can get everybody on board, then it really supports and builds on things. So as management, especially as an operational manager, what's going to happen is you really need to help build that culture of continuous improvement. And we're really talking about, rewarding people. And that doesn't have to be a monetary reward, but I'm sure everybody likes more money. But even if it's just recognition, praise, it's really building, okay, we're making these improvements, people are pointing them out. It's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. It also requires a lot of open communication. And from what I've been told historically, this is also a big issue because you need managers that will end up listening to the employees. I've been in a lot of environments where managers don't like that because I'm the top, I tell you, you don't tell me. But if you can open up that communication where people are comfortable coming up to you and going, I know you have it set up this way, but if we do this, that, or the other thing, things will be better. And that also comes down to this demonstrated respect for the people. Just because, you're the engineer, you're the manager, and they're only the people on the line, as I constantly was telling people as I was working in jobs, they know more about some of the stuff than you do, even though you've got the big degree and everything. I once used the example of, it reminded me when I was in the ROTC, a lot of the people working on the lines and things were like the NCOs, and the engineer or the manager is kind of like the lieutenant. They've got the book knowledge and the academic knowledge, but the NCOs the ones that knew everything about what was going on. And so if you want to be very successful, you kind of like lean on that knowledge base that's there, and that will make your job more successful. It makes them feel better because they feel like their contributions really matter and people are respecting the knowledge that they have. And the last thing is this term of Gemba walks to see how the work's being done. So Gemba is a Japanese term that's defined as the actual place. So in manufacturing, the shop floor is the Gemba, and the actual place, that's the actual place where the manufacturing is completed. So basically, Gemba walk is a term for a tour of the shop floor. And this is supposed to be really bridge that theory and practice by bringing the leadership down to the shop floor to actually see what's going on. And so this is where this whole Gemba walk idea comes from. So good managers, you actually go down and you see the process. You see what the people are doing. You talk to them to really find out what's going on. And that's going to give you a much better idea of what's going on in your organization than just sitting there and looking at reports. Basically, it's kind of like that TV show, which I've never watched, but I've seen commercials for, the Undercover Boss, where the CEO of the company goes and works the floor. And I'm told a lot of times they had no idea what was going on in their company because they didn't go down and see it. And once again, this is just going to make a much better manager, but it's going to be better for a workplace. So lean systems tend to have the following attributes. They respect and develop their employees. They empower their employees to make changes. They have flexibility within their workers. They have collaborative partnerships with their suppliers. And they eliminate waste by performing really only these value-added activities. And so if we extend that out to sustainability, it's two sides of the same coin, because you're really maximizing your resource use and economic efficiency. And so by maximizing your resource use and efficiency, you're making a more sustainable company. And so there's a focus on issues outside the immediate firm, because a lot of times this comes down to you're worrying about your suppliers and you're having to work with them. And really, between lean and sustainability, driving out waste is the common ground between the two of them, because if you're not leaving any waste, the company is more sustainable. Economically, environmentally, it's just a more sustainable company. Now, these techniques are not just in manufacturing, because they can be used in other services too. You've got the thing with suppliers, because no matter what you're doing, even if you're running a spa, you're still going to have suppliers that are supplying you shampoo, scissors, massage oil, all the stuff they do for the manicures and all that. You've still got layouts. You can make your layouts more efficient, where you're not wasting time moving between the different stations. Inventory, I gave you the example before about restaurants and inventory that spoils, and scheduling. So all these techniques, even though it's really easy to discuss in a manufacturing environment, and a lot of the examples that I give you are from a manufacturing environment, since that's the environment that I have come out of, they can also be applied directly to a service environment, because all the same things apply. You'll still have wastes within a service environment that you can get rid of, that you can make your company more efficient. And so these things are interesting things. And this is why Six Sigma certifications are so valuable in a lot of companies. And you will see them outside of manufacturing. You will see people getting Six Sigma certifications working in some of the larger service industries. I know, I can't remember, I think it might have been Marriott, but there was a hotel chain where they actually brought in someone as their Six Sigma guru to look at how they did everything within the hotel chain.